Good morning, Austin. Well, I'm laughing about it. I don't have my telephone, guys. But, I can't believe I missed that. Yeah. Good morning, Austin. This is February 14th. We are live. This is the Atheist Experience. My name is Ray Blevins. My co-host Jeff D. And this week's guest, Arlo Pignotti. He's our sound guy. You've heard him sound in several times during the show, and been wanting to get him out here so the audience can meet him there. But usually at this point, we go through the announcements. So I'd like to remind everyone, we are Atheist Community of Austin. We meet down at the Hot Jumble Bakery, which is down at West 5th and Lavaca. As soon as the show's over, we shut everything down. We head right on down there, and it's free and open to the public. I always like meeting the new atheist here in Austin. And then I also like to point out we're hosting the National Convention of the Atheist Alliance coming April 2nd. That's Easter weekend, and it's just around the corner, just a few weeks away. And we're proud to do that, and we'll definitely keep you up to date on that and remind everyone about that coming up. As you can see, it's Mardi Gras weekend, yes. I had fun down there. And but before we get to Arlo, through a lot of great effort here on my TV crew, they went out and got us a special guest who's been in the news quite a bit here this last week, thanks to Jerry Falwells on the religious right. They've been attacking Mr. Winky and his co-host Poe, Dipsy, and Lala for promoting homosexuality to toddlers. So I'd like to welcome Tinky Winky.
Call me Tinky. Good morning, and thanks for having me on the show.
I'd like to start by asking, why purple? What political or social significance does the color have to the overall message the Telly Tubbies program?
Well, actually, it does have some significance. As I'm sure you realize, the color purple is a bright, cheerful color, and in fact, you see as purple is really just photons reflecting off my fuzzy surface at 1/1000th of a millimeter. All the overall wavelengths, of course, are being absorbed. Historically, the color purple has not really been associated with homosexuality as much as it has been associated with free thought. In fact, the angiosperm viola caudata, or as it is more commonly known as the pansy, has been considered by some to be a symbol of free thought. After all, the word pansy, pronounced pense, is from the French and it means to think. Before that, the color purple was reserved for royalty. Julius Caesar, for instance, would have worn purple. The common purple is not allowed this luxury as the
Sorry, go ahead, Tinky.
Sorry. The color purple were not allowed this luxury as the dye to make purple cloth was very expensive. Basically, toddlers just like bright colors.
Well, I didn't know that. All right, well, what about the triangle then? It seems Mr. Falwells has concluded that your triangle is an overt sign of your deviant sexual orientation. How do you respond to this rather serious charge?
Oh, there's so many things to say about that. I hardly know where to begin. First of all, I'm not quite sure any particular sexual activity can be labeled deviant. I mean, if we look at the bonobos, the pygmy chimps, that are our closest relatives, we all see kinds of things that we may want to label deviant. In bonobo society, the only taboo that seems to exist is a prohibition against sexual activity between mother and a son older than 5 years, and yet the bonobos are among the most peaceful animals alive today.
Well, that brings up a good point. Exactly what genus do the Teletubbies belong to?
You know, you do sound a lot like Arlo, our sound guy. Are you related?
Oh, only distantly. Our features are certainly close enough to justify postulating a close evolutionary relationship. I'd say we are definitely in the same clade.
So, exactly how are your traits passed on?
Well, we are pretty androgynous, so I couldn't say. We really don't get into much on the Teletubby show. we find that many of the toddlers in our audience are not really interested in the parthenogenetic reproductive strategies of the Teletubbies. We would have to lay so much groundwork discussing game theory and genetics and, well, you know how hard with half an hour show.
Yes. Well, if I can return to your earlier comment about Farwell's attack on your triangle.
Certainly. I think it's important to note that the triangle is inherently strong as a structure. If you recall our vector diagrams from the freshman college physics, you can see what I mean. Basically, lines of force balance as long as my head is shaped like a triangle.
So an isosceles triangle wouldn't work?
Absolutely not.
Well, then the triangle has some adaptive value.
Possibly. Remember, though, not all structures necessarily have adaptive value on their own. In fact, of my triangle, it may be an artifact of some other trait that was selected for. Such traits are not really tied to one particular gene. Understanding evolution is more difficult than some textbooks make it look.
Coming back to the head structure, what have they come to signify culturally? Is there some validity to Farwell's arguments that the triangle symbolizes homosexuality? And if so, what does Farwell have to say about Ditsby's rather provocative head ornament?
Well, basically, I think it's a good bet that our head structures make it easier for toddlers to grab us.
At concerts, you mean?
No, I mean the Teletubby replica dolls at the toy stores, so...
Oh, and so there has been no comment from Farwell camp on the structure of Dipsy's head?
None. And given that church steeples have a similar phallic design, I'm not sure Dipsy will ever have to take the heat I'm under.
Well, what about the infamous bag of tricks? Why don't you carry a bag of critical thoughts instead?
Oh, well, Jeff, I don't think spreading critical thinking around would help me as far as Reverend Falwell goes. But on another note, it would be a waste of time anyway. Toddlers simply cannot distinguish between fantasy and reality. That's why it's so silly to spend money on a magician to do tricks at a little kid's birthday party.
According to your show, the sun is actually a toddler's face, and not an extremely hot ball of plasma undergoing constant nuclear fusion. Do you have any evidence to support your rather extraordinary position?
It's metaphorical stuff, Jeff.
That's fascinating. I really didn't know that.
And what about the TVs in your bellies? Does that hurt?
Only during pledge drives.
Is sexuality ever a topic on your program?
No, it's a kid's show. Between you and me, I do have some questions about the Bert and Ernie situation that has been developing steadily for a number of years now.
Are you considering taking legal action against Jerry Falwell?
Are you kidding? Why would I do that? The good Reverend is doing such a great job discrediting the religious right, I wouldn't want to slow him down.
Well, I know there must be some fundamentalist Christians out there with question for Tinky. You can call in and talk to Tinky. There's our number. And we'll see if he'll stick around, hopefully for the whole hour and a half. I don't know. And as you can see, his vocabulary is so much more improved on our show than it was on his TV show. What little bit I've seen of the TV show, he doesn't talk as intelligent as he did today. So thank you for being here, Tinky.
Okay.
All right. Remind everyone, this is live February 14th.
And it's Valentine's Day.
It is Valentine's Day.
For those of you keeping score at home.
Yes, that is our telephone number. We'd love to hear from the atheists out there. The topic really today is going to be astronomy. That's supposed to be an observatory behind us here.
I'm afraid it's
behind Joe.
It's behind me. This sort of
It's
large
observing
shape
you.
is an
And what I was thinking was, we got so many things to go through. You want to go to the Valentine's Day first, or since we?
Up to you.
Or,
I can.
You.
Okay.
Send some text from the internet.
Valentine's Day. Yeah, I got this off a website. The URL is members.icanect/zardoz/index.htm. How the Christians stole Valentine's Day. Like a lot of holidays that now have a religious overtone, a Christian religious overtone, it actually has roots in pre-Christian pagan ceremonies. The name Valentine comes from one of two Christian martyrs at the end of the 3rd century. One describes a Roman Christian martyred during the persecution of Claudius II, the other, a bishop of Terni who got martyred in Rome. Most Christian celebrations have a preoccupation with death and martyrdom. There occurs several versions of the Christian legend, but no one knows the truth for sure. Probably at least one of them did live and die, but we have little else to go on. But the celebration of giving notes and gifts to loved ones began long before the Christian version, and no doubt exists about its historical practice. In pre-Christian Rome, people celebrated Valentine's Day as Lupercalia, a Roman holiday that took place during the Ides of February, or the 15th. They believed that the goddess Juno Februata, where the name February comes from, inflicted her love fever on the young and unwary. The fertility festival of Lupercalia, in honor of the pastoral god Lupercus, involved an orgy and sexual excesses. Young men drew small love notes from a container composed by eligible young women. The men socialized with the women and attempted to guess who composed the note they had drawn. In this way, the festival brought young men and women together as sexual partners. For years, the Christian church tried to suppress the festival of Lupercalia. Interestingly, the church did not object to the festival for its love celebrations, but for the pagan beliefs that rejected the Christian God. In 496 CE, Pope Gelasius changed Lupercalia from the 15th to the 14th and renamed it after the legendary Saint Valentine in an attempt to stop the pagan celebration. Gelasius had hoped people would emulate the lives of the saints. Even after the church replaced Lupercus with Saint Valentine and recast Cupid as a cherub, the Lupercalia festival continues much as it has before, but without the sexual excesses. The only thing that Christians brought to Valentine's Day is the name and date change. To this day, men and women send love notes to each other, and in elementary schools across the country, children still put concealed notes or gifts in a box, much as the ancient Romans did. So the idea of Valentine's Day did not come from Christianity, but from the heretic Romans. Praise Juno.
Wow.
It,
I could not find anything so informative. I could only find the Christian websites. Which,
Really?
and many
did
of
they
them were...
admit the pagan origins? Or
Oh,
what?
not at all.
Really?
Not at all. They're saying that it was stolen, and they were pretty much damning the greeting card companies, saying they were evil and blasphemous for taking advantage of the holiday. So, wow. Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad to see the pagan history there that you found there. It shows how another one of the holidays that the Christians have stolen from the pagans and tried to incorporate.
And in this case, completely ruined, because well, we'd love to have those sexual excesses back.
Okay. Well, Arlo wanted to come in. You went to the Astronomical Society Convention?
Yes, the American Astronomical Society Convention. It was here in Austin. It was a week long. I was very fortunate to be a guest, thanks to my father. He's able to get me in there. He's an astronomer. I'm not, but I just have a grand interest in astronomy. And wow, the discoveries, all the way from 9 in the morning to 9 p.m. every day for the whole week, just nonstop lecturing of discoveries of 1998. And I wanted to bring up, hey, what does astronomy mean to atheists? We talk about evolution a lot, and by evolution I mean biological evolution, but don't forget evolution can be applied to planetary evolution, stellar evolution. And some great, I got to see all these things before released to the press, things like we discovered stars with rings. Rings quite like Saturn has rings.
Oh, yeah?
It's very beautiful images to see. It's wonderful to be the first of 2,000 people to see it. It's about 2,000 astronomers from around the world, and it's just amazing to see how people from all these different cultures and religions can come to an agreement when it comes to science.
How many of them did religion come up during the conference?
Not at all.
I
I hear so much from these creationist shows. They make it sound like that there's half of the astronomers are creationists and the other half, and they suppress the other half. I really doubt there was even one. There's a lot of debating. Every little theory that gets brought up, there's someone there to try to tear it down and try to challenge it. But when it comes to talking about evolution, even biological evolution I'm speaking of, that is a part of astronomy now that we're trying to find terrestrial planets. But no one questions that. It is obvious. Yes, it's just a theory, but it's a proven theory. But back to stellar evolution, most important discovery, I think, is the discovery of planets around other stars. And this isn't, I don't think this is expressed enough in the media so far. I've just been spreading it by word of mouth as well as I can. I think it's very important for atheists because we can see the evolution of planets at various stages as we go star to star. They seem to think that there may be planets around all stars, or at least forming planets, so they may be quite common. There's about 11, I think, that are confirmed to be planets. And that's just in a period of about a little less than a year, so maybe we'll be finding 2 planets every month. We're going to have a lot of data coming in on this. And someone had called in on a show a while ago asking, can we see planets form? Yes and no. You can't see an animation of a planet forming because it takes many millions of years, but in a way you can see it. And the analogy I'd like to bring to that is, let's say aliens come from outer space. They want to know how humans grow, but they only can be there for a day. So what can they do? Maybe they could take a snapshot of everybody in a mall, say. You know, they'll see pictures of infants, toddlers,
Old mall walkers.
right, elderly people. They may notice that a majority of the people are around the middle age, which would suggest that's the longest stage of growth. And what you can do is you can piece the pictures together in sort of an animation on how humans may grow, even though you're not actually seeing them grow. Another thing is like an old forest, those forests where the trees are hundreds of years old. No one's ever seen the tree grow from a seed to an elder tree that's dying because it takes way longer than a human life. And you can call that point A to point Z. But in a 50-year span, you can see a tree begin to grow from point A to B, or B to C, and it's just safe to assume it goes from A to Z. Now, that's what I'm trying to say with planets. In a way, we can see them grow and form by viewing different stars. Stellar evolution on how stars form is the same way. So
That's great. And part of the significance for finding all the planets, the Hubble Space Telescope is bringing quite a bit of that information to us, right?
Right, and actually we're gonna. It can detect planets larger than Jupiter. We are people are considering setting up
there we go.
That's nice.
Yeah.
A system of 5 satellites that will simultaneously aim towards a star in the sky, and these should be able to detect planets closer to the size of Earth. Maybe they'll be terrestrial planets, and these hopefully will be capable of detecting an ozone layer or any other signs of life.
Wow.
I wouldn't get my hopes up. I mean, we certainly should expect that life is out there, but for it to be close enough for us to find.
Around the Earth, or just the Moon and the Earth, or what?
The 5, our floor manager asked about the satellites.
Oh, where are these located? I think they're going to go into deep space, I would assume, to do this. Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that. Right, yeah, there are 5 near me. So you get sort of a real good perception when you use 5 like that together. Actually, when you have 5 small satellites strung out, that's almost like having the same thing as one big satellite at that diameter.
They showed some of the images of the rings around stars on CNN over the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, and I think it's wonderful to see. That's pretty much seen the planet's formation, or it's pretty likely that may be planets in formation.
One of the interesting trivia things I've read here in just the last couple of weeks here, it was talking about astrology and astronomy, and the guy was saying that the gravitational influence or that the planets have out there is so insignificant that the TV that you're standing in front of would have more gravitational influence on you.
That's right. There's
than
a
the
few.
planets out there.
There are astrologers out there trying to find that, because there is gravitational influence, and then that means their horoscopes are supposed to be right.
That's a graphic.
I wonder what.
Do not play with the star pictures while they're on screen, please.
They're warping space-time.
Yes, and
Jupiter is going to turn supernova like in 2001. 2010, sorry.
But I still read this my horoscope every day in the paper too, and not to make any decisions. For the entertainment value.
It's kind of fun.
Because they're so generic. They have to cover none of them are really bad.
It
You
can
read
be
all of
funny
them,
sometimes.
and any one of them could fit you. You know, you don't have to. You know, just because it says Aquarius doesn't mean that's it. You could read any of them, and they all pretty much say the same.
Actually, there is a 13th sign that they don't include anymore. I don't know what it is. But
Well,
I know there's 12 months, but there were 13 constellations that were used originally.
that's
Huh.
and I didn't know that. And yeah, because with our calendar, 4-week month, you could actually have 13 4-week months on a calendar. So it must have been an older calendar. And they're still playing with the. Now we have.
Jeez, what was that?
They're having troubles with our backgrounds there. Remind everyone, this is February 14th. We are live. I'd love to test out the phones and see if they could. I can't believe we didn't even test out the phones and bring them out here.
Can they talk to Tinky Winky?
Yeah, and you can't. We have. I thought it was Tinky Winky.
It's Tinky Winky. Tinky Winky is here to take your calls, folks.
Yes. And if Jerry Falwells would like to.
Tinky.
Thank you, Tinky.
Well, you want to. Didn't you also say, speaking of astronomy, that Pluto is now.
Yeah, there's some interesting astronomy news. First of all, to Pluto. When I was in school, Pluto was the farthest away planet. But because of its elliptical orbit, shortly after I got out of high school, it dipped inside the orbit of Neptune and has been there for the last 20 years. And just the other day, it resumed its position as the farthest away planet that of our solar system that we know of. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it's going to, for those of you worried about when it's going to change again, it's going to be the most distant for the next 228 years. So that's.
Actually,
I
I
wouldn't worry about
thought Pluto wasn't considered a planet anymore. This was not.
Well,
talked
they
about-
talk about that in this article. Tell us what the astronomers are saying about
I
it.
heard this.
Actually, no, they didn't speak about that at the convention. I just heard a quick little news report, but I don't
Well,
blame
okay,
them. Pluto is, I mean, isn't it smaller than our moon?
It's 2/3 as big as the Earth's moon. It
Wow.
says here in my info.
Right.
Pluto and Charon, its moon, are regarded as a double planet by some scientists. It says, and yeah, there's all kinds of talk of it being a captured rock and not actually native to the solar system and things like that because of its odd trajectory.
Could be considered
I don't
an
know.
asteroid, just big enough to be spherical.
Right. But
I remember when it was Viking went by Neptune, wasn't it? Which one was?
Viking went by Neptune, right? No,
Yeah.
they didn't go by Pluto, though.
But no, I remember because I was in Indiana and IU had the downloaded the pictures live, so that was so cool. I was sitting there watching coming down live. You know, the first pictures of Neptune that was that close. I was so impressed that that it was there and open, free and open to the public like that.
I wish I had the name of this one website. I think it is connected to NASA's main website. If anyone wants to try to find it, there are some sites where you can see presently what is being seen by the satellites in orbit right now.
there's also a website called Extrasolar Visions. You were talking earlier about planets outside of the solar system. There is a really great, beautiful, well-organized website talking about all of the information we have so far on on planets detected outside of our own solar system. And I highly recommend it. You'll have to do our web search, though I don't have the URL handy. Also in astronomy news, NASA launched their Stardust probe on Sunday. That was after a one-day delay. This is a robotic probe that is going to do a flyby of a comet and capture particles in its tail and then return them to Earth in like 2008, which was pretty cool. But the neatest thing is that this is the first time I've seen this done. They had a camera mounted on the outside of the rocket looking down its length. So when it launched, it was like it was transmitting live video from the side of the rocket. You saw the tower drop away and all this stuff. That was really neat. I hope they do that regularly now.
Yeah.
Because it was really impressive to watch.
Well, let's try a phone call and see if
Okay.
the phones are working here.
Hello?
Turn your TV down, sir.
You got your TV on?
Okay, hang on. Okay.
Well, we're still getting major feedback. Let me put you on hold.
Okay, we got a problem with
You might
phones.
want to turn the volume down in the control room. Possibly.
Is that what? Are we getting
That
it through
can
the
affect it a
monitor?
little bit, but
Okay.
Okay.
Please stay with us, caller. We will get back to you. I'm sorry.
We got it in the control room. We're right in there. If you can hear.
Oh, well, we're gonna
Try
try
it
again.
Let's try it.
Hello.
Okay.
RC, there we go. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask a question.
Sure.
Maybe one question on social law and one question on astronomy, the subject y'all are talking about. Since all the laws seemingly in America, most of them are based on the Bible, what would, and I don't think any of the Supreme Court justices are atheists, how would our law be affected, do you think, if they were all atheists?
That's an interesting question. And
I think primarily what would happen is that the laws would no longer be explained as being necessary because God says so. I mean, atheists have no objection to prohibitions against murder or stealing or any of the other big things that people tend to all agree are wrong, and neither do religions other than Christianity or pre-Christian religions. Those basic concepts have been around throughout human history. The big difference would be that we no longer say these laws are right because God says so. We would be saying these laws are right because this is the way we want to live.
How would you be able to construct, let's say, a punishment for first-degree murder if it was just a consensus, or if you had to vote, your three opinions?
I'm 100% for capital punishment, but that's not a consensus of the group. There are
Right.
people in our group that are against capital punishment.
Yeah, I mean, you have that problem now. Not all Christians agree that capital punishment is a good thing.
Correct.
So
yeah.
I don't think that would change. That would still be a dilemma that we would have to struggle over.
But you'd still have to go back to some sort of source authority.
Why? Why is that?
If you were a religionist, of course.
Well, sure. But you were asking us what we would do if the country was not religion, or those laws were not religiously based.
And you could have a law against murder without having religion even brought into it. It's just.
How would you have a authority for that?
Well,
the Constitution. The people give the power to the government. And Arlo
I
had
was
a
just
point.
going to say the people in general. I think most people don't want people running around killing each other. Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, that's very
why is that?
reasonable, yeah.
Why is that not sufficient?
Well, in some societies, as you spoke originally, they don't have a prohibition against that. Some of them cook themselves in big
Give
pots.
me one society present today that does not have a law against murder.
Obviously the Third Reich didn't.
Now wait. Now see, there's a difference between not having a law against murder and having a law against murder, but giving the state special privileges. Or there are also I think Muslim countries. I apologize to Muslims if I got this wrong, but I think it's Muslims where it is considered acceptable for a father and sons to kill a daughter who has had sex without being married,
Yeah.
things like that. I mean, there are exceptions, and you'll find generally those are ideologically excused, but those countries still have laws against murder. They just let people get away with it under some particular extreme conditions.
And Third Reich, you bring up a time of war. So acts of war.
Well, no, I think he's talking about the Jews in that case.
Well, it was still yeah.
But there the problem was not that they didn't have a law against murder. The problem there was that they did not consider Jews to be human beings,
Exactly.
and that was the problem.
And Arlo had a point.
I was just going to say certainly that they had laws against murdering each other, of course. I mean, any culture where you're allowed to murder each other simply wouldn't survive. I don't think they'd be around today with such things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And then you had an astronomy question? We have other callers.
Yeah, if you build this structure on another planet, and we send off all the scientists, especially like you guys, do you think that there would be a need for prisons and punishment centers?
On another planet?
What are you talking about?
We're not scientists.
Are you talking about exiling all atheists to another planet?
No.
What are you talking about?
If we colonize-
Isaac Amanoff, in his book, several of his books, he talks about colonizing space, but he never seems to interject that there's going to be any problems up there as far as needing places to put people that don't obey the rules. And
Well, unfortunately, that is going to happen. But the early ones that go are going to have to go through such a rigorous screening process to go that I think it's going to be such a small percentage of that first.
Yeah, I'm betting NASA carefully weeds out sociopaths from the space program right now.
Well,
But you're right. I mean, sure, if you get a bunch of human beings living in a large civilization on another planet, well, sure, there's nothing special about the Earth that makes people misbehave.
Sin will always be with us, my friend.
Well, sure. Well, okay. First of all, I wouldn't use the word sin, but yes, humans, you'll always have some group that wants to get away with things that the rest of them don't want to get away with. But
You don't call that sin.
Well, no.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
You have a great day.
Take me to Pluto. It's the furthest from Earth.
There you go. Oh, I thought he was getting ready to say something to me. Let's go on down to Rick. Rick?
Yeah, hey, we're not squeaking no more.
Fantastic.
That's the guy on the, what was your name, the right? The guy, well, no, okay.
Arlo.
The camera's backwards, the left.
My
Arlo.
left? Yeah.
Arlo.
That's all right. Hold up your right hand. Yeah, on aliens, do you think there's a possibility that are we the most intelligent species in our universe?
All right, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing, at the Astronomy Convention, multiple teams of scientists have seem to think they have observed a repulsive force, and this does tie in with it, meaning this may mean that the universe is open, and that means the universe would probably be infinite rather than a closed
that's
universe.
cool. It's pretty as far as we can see.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, in an infinite universe, I assume there's things out there more intelligent than us. I mean,
Okay. Well, so is it possible that maybe a more intelligent, since we're already thinking of putting colonies on the moon, maybe another species out there got an idea and says, okay, let's redo this planet right here. See, Earth, it was, that's what the Bible says, void, and say, I'm not one of these people that believe that Jesus come across a comet and all that, and you have to wear a white cowboy hat. If y'all heard about that, it was kind of silly.
Yes.
But maybe, I don't believe in this, but it goes around that maybe an intelligent species put life on Earth here and set down a rule book and put rules in there for us to follow. So is that possible?
Well, I want to refer to just critical thinking on this one.
Pretty much almost anything, if you ask, is this possible, the answer is going to be yes. Okay. There are a lot of things you can say. Is this wild, crazy idea possible?
Is there anything about those 10 rules that are put down in that book that's so terrible?
Now, just wait a minute. First of all,
those
rules existed.
Just a moment. Reach over and slap your friend on your left. How do you know it's wrong?
Just a moment. First of all, the rules you're talking. First of all, which set of 10 Commandments? Because there are several in the Bible, and they don't all agree. And then compare that to laws that existed earlier. Hammurabi's Code predates the Bible.
That's what throws me off. Where'd these laws come from if they didn't come from God?
Well, in your
heart, in your mind, that it's wrong to reach over and slap your buddy?
Why don't monkeys turn and kill and eat each other? Okay, there are basic
I
instinctive.
didn't come from a monkey though, and y'all don't agree we came from monkeys either. We came from a.
Sorry, and if you don't have enough couth and courtesy to my guest host, no, go ahead, Jeff.
Okay. My point is, well, okay. Now, he jumped in and rejected evolution, which is a whole separate issue. But the point is, if one set of creatures can behave without randomly killing and eating each other or taking each other's stuff without any kind of apparent rules of behavior, then so can we. Or without any outside imposed book of rules of behavior, then so can we. Okay, then whatever forces were involved in determining the behavior of those animals applied to us too. And we do not have to turn to some outside force to explain this. We can look at the fact that wow, we are social animals, and if we didn't behave within a certain bounded set of rules, that we wouldn't be able to survive. And we do survive, and it's because we follow some basic rules. And now, because we're intelligent, we can look at those rules and talk about them and institute them in words instead of just blindly obeying our instincts. But again, there's no necessity of pointing to some outside supernatural force to tell us what the rules are.
And the point I was going to, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Or an alien force.
Or an alien force. Was this? Okay. Well,
what I was going to say was, it was the idea you can make any claim you want out there, and then try to support. It's up to you to support that claim, and it's not up to us to disprove. And that's the whole point I was going to make. Sure enough, there's several people who throw out all these theories about alien contact tens and thousands of years ago, and possibly that's where, you know, it was even in the Bible and all this other crap. But it's not up for us to prove that it didn't happen. It's up to you folks to prove that it did happen. All right, let's go back to the call. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll mention one thing though. His example of going against the Bible is slapping your friend on the head. I don't remember the Bible. I don't think the Ten Commandments say
there is no thou shalt not slap your friend on the head.
Who's sitting on the left.
Well, we'll remind everyone this is February 14th.
Ooh, I like that one.
That's a good picture. Yes, I like that picture. Jeff's head's right in there. But we are live February 14th.
And we have Tinky Winky here to take your calls.
Tinky Winky's still on the set, ready to take your call.
No
okay, let's go on down to Bill.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Bill.
Good topic this morning. I thought maybe I'd add in a few things.
Sure.
Cool. First, you mentioned about not being able to get this from the general media that often. I found one TV show that some of your listeners may be interested in is Discovery News.
Yes, great show.
Good show.
I watch it all the time, yes.
Another source I like, obviously if you have the internet, you have more than you can ever absorb. But on the Yahoo News service, there's a category, science, and you can keep abreast of things as a layman, as I am, that way. And there's also a fine news group on Usenet, and our friend Ronan posts there occasionally. I think it's called bit.listserv.skeptic. And there was an excellent post this week about cosmology from the physicist Lindy. Well, he didn't post it, but somebody else did, and talking quite a bit about Lindy's theories. And are any of the three of you familiar with his theories and so on?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if anybody been Arlo, I'm sorry, I don't. Can you update us quickly?
Oh, it's so much. It's just he touches on the metaphysical realms with theories that have not yet been disproven. He doesn't say that they're right, of course, but he's developed a few theories based on all the things that have been proven wrong. And pretty interesting stuff, like universes being spewed out from other universes, which really almost touches on the metaphysical, but he's using true astrophysical science to support his theories.
That would be an astrophysical process, huh?
I don't think he'd have to call that metaphysical.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
I'm sorry, I don't think we need to call that metaphysical. That would be, and Arlo was agreeing.
No, I'm not calling it metaphysical. I'm saying it touches. It kind of overlaps or intersects in some respects to some of the metaphysical type questions of the universe. And anyway, I think the poster's name was Sherman. I'm not positive, but Lindy is the big famous guy. He's pretty heavyweight in astrophysics.
Thank you. I appreciate the info there about the other things there.
On your Pluto thing, here's a good one for you also that I only learned fairly recently. How many Great Lakes are there?
5.
Well, should only be 4. Michigan and Superior, by any definition of a lake, are one lake.
And this has what to do with Pluto?
Whether or not it's a planet.
Oh, okay.
No,
right. Oh, sure.
It has to do with the perpetuation of scientifically known wrongs. In other words, any definition you find of what a lake is,
right?
A scientific definition of what a lake is, Superior and Michigan are one lake.
Right. I mean, it's important to keep in mind that we make up words to identify things, and We make up words to identify things, and there are going to be rough edges where the words don't, common definitions of words don't necessarily exactly jive with what we find, but we don't happen to have another word that's more exact, and so you get into problems like that. That's just always important to remember.
Right. Would you like me to bring up anything else? I do have one question for you that
Please.
Because I have an exceptional book that I could refer to if you want, or I've been on long enough.
Up to you.
Huh?
Up to you.
Oh, one of my favorite books was Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds.
I've heard a lot about that book,
and
but I haven't read it yet.
What I find so interesting about it is that it was written in 1841,
Wow.
which predates a lot of our
Yes.
knowledge explosion. And since your show is on astronomy, and astrology is sadly so often related, oddly enough, he spent 700 pages debunking all sorts of things. Astronomy got 1 page. I mean, it was so ludicrous in 1841 that in his major treatise, McKay only saw it worthy of 1 page.
On astrology?
Right.
Astronomy.
But 700 pages?
No. He debunks other fortune telling. He spends a ton on mesmer and other things. Okay. All kinds of divination that he debunks.
Yeah.
But in 1841, astrology was only worthy of 1 page.
I see what you're saying.
Huh.
And he's got some great quotes in there, and I don't know if you want me to.
Well, no, I got a bunch of calls online.
Right. Here's my question for you guys, though. Okay, and that's I hate using this word, but the relativity of aliens. Why we think that other similar developed aliens would be around at our time of scientific knowledge of 75, 80 years of true breaking out of our atmosphere.
Right.
And we're talking about a 15 billion-year-old universe.
Yeah,
let alone the distances that things would have to travel for us to in other words, for us to simultaneously be aware or communicate with aliens, which I believe have existed or have whatever, or I shouldn't say believe, but I can see very easily them existing. What becomes hard for me to believe or accept or have faith in is the idea that A, we're close enough to where we would know, and B, that it would be in the same time frame of that 15 billion years
Excellent
as
point.
where we are now. And I'm going to hang up and let you guys talk about that. Keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you. He brought up an excellent point. Yeah, our technological society is just a blink in the cosmological time scale. I mean, just
even humanity is a blink.
Well, there's an idea out there called called Fermi's Paradox.
Right.
Fermi was a mathematician, physicist. I'm not exactly sure. But basically, he looked at the age of the universe and said, okay, if evolution happens and we have these many planets, why haven't we been visited by aliens so far? And he concluded that there weren't any aliens more advanced than us, because if there had been, they would have had plenty of time to come flying by and say hello. But it all depends on whether they would have any motive to leave their planets. I mean, we find it hard to imagine a species not having any particular interest in going off into deep space, but that's us. That doesn't necessarily mean that other species would be motivated. There are issues of how practical is it. There are issues of how fast can you get a spaceship moving, and whether it's sensible to even try, whether it be worth anything to a civilization to put all the effort out that would be necessary to get one ship to one other star. So it's just still an open question.
And
Actually, on top of all that, imagine a planet, you got billions of places to go. Why would they come here? How would they know that there is a planet with life around this particular star? This is just an average star.
That's interesting. You were just talking about the bigger telescope we're gonna make in space that's gonna be possibly able to identify Earth-like planets or Earth-sized planets.
Earth-sized planets.
As soon as you got Earth-sized planets, then you can find out what's on them, right?
That's just a very close vicinity, though.
But that's, how long ago did the Hubble go up? How long before we have a telescope big enough to go look in space and find inhabited planets for us? So it may be that the way to contact other planets is to sit at home and wait for them to get to the point where they can see your signals, and specifically target you with communications, and then you start talking to them. Because light travels at the speed of light. You don't have to worry about great big starships and loading people on board and waiting several thousand years. So, who knows?
I would like to get Joe on. He's been on hold here.
Let's skip to Joe.
Yes. Joe?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Joe.
Hello, Arlo, Ray, and Jeff. How's it going?
Let me tell everyone that's not a headshot of me behind me.
That's a planet.
Yeah, they usually do that.
Okay, go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Well, it's good to talk to everybody again. I've got a little something here to read from the January issue of the American Atheist newsletter. We finally got it out. Yay!
Yay!
And this is a report by Raoul Betty and the Australian, which was sent to us by Peter Hanna, the editor of the Rationalist News in Australia.
All right.
About a story in India. Several hundred villagers in northern India watched enthralled as a long-haired sadhu, or holy man, dressed in saffron robes, draws ash out of thin air, explodes huge stones with mental power, and turns water into blood. Captivated by his supernatural deeds, an offering to the gods to bring prosperity to the village in the state of Haryana, which is near New Delhi, India, and to ward off the evil eye, the simple folk want to give generously to the divine power facing them. But as the awestruck audience members reach into their pockets, the holy man whips off his saffron robes to reveal himself as the local college science teacher. He then repeats his performance, except this time showing his audience how he achieved the miracles through sleight of hand and a few chemicals. Such events are part of the movement launched by the Indian Rationalist Association across 18 of India's 25 states to expose thousands of so-called God-men who deprive village folk of large sums of money after impressing them with supernatural acts. And they have a quote, "Charlatans have a strong hold on villagers and exploit their fears with feats that are a matter of elementary chemistry," said the spokesman at the Rationalist Association headquarters in New Delhi. He said association volunteers had visited thousands of villages across the country for more than 2 years, demystifying miracles simply by telling people how they were performed. Association members said standard tricks used by the holy men, including setting objects alight through mind energy, eating glass, walking on fire, piercing their flesh with a steel trident, and even levitation. One trick that never fails to inspire awe is a small explosion caused by sprinkling so-called holy drops on a stone, achieved all too easily by pouring water on scattered sodium crystals. Similarly, setting fire to candles and piles of dry grass through so-called mental power is executed by using chemicals that ignite on exposure to sunlight. Piercing the body, on the other hand, is done with specially built tridents bent at strategic points to give the impression of deep penetration. Walking on fire, swallowing ground glass, producing ash out of the air, and levitation can all be executed through combinations of chemicals, craftily erected apparatus, and deft manipulation. And then there's another quote from a Rationalist Association activist saying, "These holy men have a rudimentary knowledge of chemistry, and with their flowing beards and flamboyant robes, they create an ambiance of mystique and magic for simple rural folk which scares them into parting with their money." The association, whose membership has swelled to 86,000, was launched in the late 1940s by a clutch of scientists and intellectuals in the southern states of India. Over the years, however, it has spread across the country. All of its activists are volunteers, and it is funded by donations. So that's something that's going on in India that's really good.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a really big skeptical movement out there. I think their main guy is named Premanand. He's a physicist.
Right.
In India. Yeah, I've heard a lot about
great.
them. That's cool. You're not suggesting that other religions got their start this way, are you?
Well, it stands to reason. And there's certainly a lot of people in that part of the world that are very poor and uneducated, don't have access to libraries where they can find out the truth on these matters. And there are a lot of people there who want to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
Sorry I don't have anything on astronomy.
Well, I know a little trick that people used to use on tribesmen, which they used astronomy to invoke what they thought were supernatural powers, because you can use science to determine when an eclipse will appear. there were people that went out to tribes and would say they're going to make that happen. You know, this particular date, they're going to make an eclipse happen, and it happens, and you got a few people worshiping you.
Well, I also saw something on the internet recently, a photograph image of a Hubble telescope photograph that was released recently of a planet forming. And it was rather striking because, you know, it kind of looked like a flash, sort of like a match lighting, with a dark, sort of a bar going diagonally sort of through the flash, and it was like dark matter. You couldn't see anything in it, but you could see on the other side sort of an eclipse situation where this huge flash where a planet was forming. And this is a photograph, not a drawing, taken from Hubble. So every time someone says you cannot have a planet forming because God formed them all at the same time, and they're not, you know, forming or devolving or anything, that's one bit of proof we found.
Yeah.
So, anyway, thanks. I'm going to give a call next week, and I got to go.
Okay, Joe.
Y'all have a good morning.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah. I thought I released it there for a minute. All right. Boy, been having a great morning here. We had some great calls. Let's go back to the phone. And you have Bill's name there. Is that who's next? Okay.
Oh, Bill left?
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought, so let's go to Mary. Mary?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Recently, I've been involved with an old friend from school who's terminally ill with cancer.
Right.
And, like, she has found the way, so to speak. I mean, I have a responsibility to her because I've known her for so long, but she never was a real close friend. Well, I found out that she wanted to see me before she crossed over. She wanted to see me to convert me.
To convert you?
Yeah. I'm living my life wrong, and I'll find out before I die that I've been wrong about everything I've figured out for myself. And why I wanted to call with this is because of that disrespectful caller you had a little while ago.
Yes.
I heard all that noise. Their position is basically very disrespectful. I don't understand why they expect respect from free thinkers and people who do their own thinking, and they don't want to give it back.
Right.
You know, it's because of the conflict thing, I guess, competition, and they don't emphasize cooperation.
Yeah.
They don't realize that we have survived as a species because of cooperation. The conflict is what's been the problem all the time. It's not what's driven the progress. You know what I'm saying, kind of?
Yeah, well, that particular caller, and I've had it happen on the show before, they'll throw out a question, and as soon as you get one word out of the answer, then they're throwing out 20 more questions.
Well, they're not listening to you because they don't want to hear your position, okay? But it gets to an even worse thing. The other day I was watching a show about self-esteem, and then I watched a little summation at the end of it, and part of it was that thing about you should bow to a higher power. And it suddenly hit me that that's what we've been doing all this time, and we haven't even come close to realizing our potential as human beings. And we're never going to as long as we look to something else to give us the answers, because the answers are in us. We're the ones that are supposed to find them. And why is it that religionists always have their hand out for money? Okay? That's really starting to piss me off. I mean, if it's so holy, how come they need so money? You know, Bono, in one of his songs, you know, U2, he says, the God I believe in isn't short of cash. And that's the bottom line on it. But I'm just calling to vent this because I'm so mad. I feel so exploited, you know, because I thought I was going to go help this person.
It's tough to have that coming at you from somebody who, you know, you want to be there to to feel compassion for them and to help them, but here you find out that their tragedy is being exploited by the religion that has a hold of them to try to make you fall in line.
Well, I can't fall in line because the only happiness and freedom I've ever had has been to be free of these insane notions. You know, that somebody's my boss. I'm my boss, okay?
It's got to be scary too, being close to the end and knowing that's it. And, you know,
Deluded to the end.
Yes.
Incredible. Well, I don't want to live that kind of life.
Right.
I want to realize human potential.
We should do a show on that whole subject one day, because
right?
there's a lot to be said.
We can do it.
Human dignity and dying and how you face that as an atheist.
But it's really starting to piss me off that they want respect for it. Yeah. You know, and they don't want to give us respect. And I'm getting kind of short-tempered sometimes about this thing, and I guess I'll get off right now before I get on a tear about it. But thanks for being there, guys.
You're welcome, Mary.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks for calling.
Yeah,
you have a great week.
I got a great story about that.
Okay, go ahead.
Some people I know, I'm not going to name names, they're having an email discussion, and one of them is a New Age guru, and the other one is a rationalist, and they're related. And the New Age guru responded to the rationalist's arguments by saying, "Oh, my spiritual teachers told me that someone would come and challenge my beliefs, and that was just going to make me stronger." And so here's this person reading supernaturalism into the very fact that a rationalist came and talked to them, and it's just twisted and backwards. You know, these are people who want the right to believe whatever it is they want to believe, but they'll turn around and force their beliefs on other people by doing stuff like this.
And not even think about being a hypocrite.
And not even think about being a hypocrite. You know, this guru guy wrote 3 or 4 times in his email. You know, oh, you already agree with me. You just don't realize it. You know, I'm sorry. If you want the right to believe what you want to believe, you have to respect that other people, when they tell you what they believe, that they actually mean it. You know, we don't go around telling Christians that they in fact do not believe the things they claim to believe. Of course they do. That's not the issue. The question is whether what they believe is accurate or not.
You had a point?
Many will use sorrow and emotion to convert you.
I saw that, Dinky.
They'll use sorrow to convert you. And one thing, when I was on the internet trying to find origins of Valentine's Day, and a lot of sites about Valentine's Day will deliberately make you feel really lonely and alone, because it's Valentine's Day and your life is meaningless, and then they tell you to find Jesus. And many religious people, they try to make it sound like they have more emotion than you. Well, they're just using emotion. I think they're using it for the wrong reason.
All right, let's go back to the caller. I see that all the lines are lit up. We're doing real good this morning here. Let's go to Kevin. Oop, I didn't do that. Hang on.
Just turn the...
Hey, guys.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Hey, I got a problem with your Fermi Paradox that you brought up a little while ago. Well, if the universe is billions and billions of years old, now mankind, even in evolutionary terms, has only been around for a couple 100,000 years. Well, that kind of blows that theory right out of the water, because...
I don't see how.
Yeah, no, wait a minute. First of all, I didn't suggest Fermi's Paradox as, like, the answer to anything. I just brought it up because we were on the subject of space aliens.
Okay.
I don't really buy into it myself, because, first of all, it is possible that we're among the first. It is possible that we're not among the first, but the distances are so great that, you know, several more million years are going to be necessary before we would have the ability to travel those distances with impunity. Or it may be that there are reasons that we're not aware of why there is no point or there is no need to go to the trouble. And, you know, we don't know any of that stuff. So, well, I mean, it's interesting to talk about, but no, I wouldn't say that answers the question of why we haven't seen space aliens.
And from my understanding, that formula was developed to try to establish a number of supposedly inhabited planets that would be in the universe.
That formula is a separate thing, but Fermi plugged his own numbers into it and came up with you know, his paradox. If you plug different numbers into it, then it becomes a lot more reasonable that we haven't seen them yet.
That's what I was getting ready to lead up to. There's like 6 or 7 different variables, and science is constantly updating those variables.
But seeing other planets forming has affected one of those variables very strongly.
Okay, but caller, you had a point? Oh, caller. I didn't turn. I'm sorry, caller. I did not cut you off.
Maybe that's all they wanted to know.
Kevin?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I didn't do that. It was totally by accident.
Oh, that's cool.
You had a point though? Go ahead.
Well, the point was,
I don't know how that argument can really work, though. I mean, and I don't see the point in bringing up the paradox at all when, the fact that billions and billions of years versus several hundred thousands of years, I mean, there very well could have been aliens on the Earth long before humans ever evolved.
Well, that's another objection too, and that it may be that there were advanced space aliens that tooled by before life had even begun to form on this planet, and they just shrugged their shoulders and moved on. Of course.
Well, they could have built pyramids or things like that.
And that, well, sure, they could be hiding in my closet. At that point, if you want to bring up that idea, then you've got the burden of proof on you to indicate that there is any reason to think that that's true. I mean,
okay.
we have dug up the quarters where the people lived who built the pyramids, and we have all kinds of records of how they organized and stuff. So that's not an issue.
Well, I would like to point out for anybody that's interested in this type of topic to go pick up "Fingerprints of the Gods" by Graham Hancock, who it shows many ways that it's really not possible for the ancient Egyptians to have built the Great Pyramids.
But we have dug up the quarters where all the workmen lived, and we've dug up and translated their records that they used to organize their people and build the pyramids. We know how they did it. There's no mystery there.
We even know what the workers were even paid, don't we?
We know that they were in fact not slaves; they were paid.
Yes.
So in food.
But the title was "Fingerprints of God."
Fingerprints of the Gods, yeah.
It's just another Chariots of the Gods kind of book of nonsense.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I would recommend you check it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Have a good one.
You have a great week.
Aliens use stone technology.
Yes. That's right. Apparently, the Egyptians just didn't know how to get a bunch of people to do a big project. The Egyptians didn't, so they needed space aliens to come and tell them how to organize their own people to do the work manually.
One of the most interesting theories I've heard on the pyramid, that it's actually a map of the history of time, and each inch equals a year, and depending on how you go up, it is a certain point in our history. And it's quite an interesting book.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, he went through, and it's the Egyptian inch, not our American inch. He comes up through all the different measurements. What he determines is the unit of measure that they used when they built the pyramid, and he's saying each inch represents a year, and you're going up there, and it's quite an interesting
I think if you start giving yourself the freedom to make up your own unit of measurement and say this is the one they must have used to make it come out the way that I'm interpreting it, then you've gone too far.
Yes. But I thought it was a fun theory. I didn't say
all this stuff is fun, but it's very important to draw a line between what's neat to think about and what really makes any kind of sense.
All right, let's go on down to James.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning, guys. How are y'all this morning?
Fantastic.
Good, James.
It's just all theories, man. I mean, and that's you guys all three being up there is great, and I think the TV show's great, but it is all theories. I mean, and everybody has their own thoughts and their own theories. Nobody's right. You guys could be right. The Catholics could be right. But as long as everybody stands for one, I think that's all that matters.
Stands for one what?
Yeah, that's what
one superior being, because somebody's put us on this earth. One person has designed everything we have.
We're not standing for that one superior being.
You just threw us out of the equation.
Yeah, we won't stand for one superior being.
I understand that. That's what I'm just trying to show to you guys. And that my theory is that there's one superior being, and there's one person that you have to look up to. The majority of the religions. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And do you got your TV turned up?
No, I got my TV off.
Sorry about that.
We're having trouble here in the studio.
The theory I have, and believe it, I'm pretty not very knowledgeable when it comes to this one, but my whole theory in life is that I've got one superior being. You've got one person to look up to. There's somebody out there, because after death, and this is just, again, my thoughts, after death, if you don't have to, there's the 10 Commandments, there's a lot of stuff you can go by, but as long as you have, and I know that's totally what you guys, is the opposite of what you guys have. And again, it's a theory. Am I right, sir?
Well, now wait a minute.
Hypothesis.
It's a hypothesis.
Okay, hypothesis.
In science, theory means a different thing than what the average guy in the street understands it to mean.
Right. And I'm not
gravity is a theory, but there's no real.
All I'm trying to say is that everybody has to believe in something, and if they're atheist, if they're Catholic, whatever they are, then that's their own thoughts. And I think that's good that you guys came on, though, too. I think that people can see what you guys. Yeah.
I have a question for you. Your one superior being that you bowed down to and everything else.
No, don't bow down to him. I'm still myself. I'm my own amenity.
Okay. How does that improve your day-to-day life. I don't understand how that particular hypothesis contributes to your daily life.
Well, again, it falls, and again, I'm not going to overpower and say I know all this and I know all the exact. What word I'm looking for? I don't know all my religious. I'm not some guy that goes to church every day and can tell you every scripture from the Bible.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking how your superior being contributes to your daily life.
I'm alive. I'm breathing.
And if you made the decision not to believe in this thing, wouldn't you still be alive and breathing?
Thank you.
Possibly not. Look who dies on a daily basis. And that's, well, you're right. You're right.
We got three people right here who do not believe in any such being, and we're alive and breathing. Okay, here's evidence.
What about Judgment Day? I believe in Judgment Day. I'm sure you guys don't.
Why should we?
And still,
what sense does it make?
So you're basing your whole life on this supposed Judgment Day? This is what affects your day-to-day life?
How come everything in the Bible falls together, guys?
Does it?
Yes.
It is full of thousands and thousands of contradictions. And
how come everything in War and Peace falls together?
You can pick and choose what pieces you think.
Again, I'm not arguing with you guys. My first comment was I don't think there's anything wrong with an atheist. I don't walk down the street and say, hey, I want to beat the hell out of an atheist.
Well, but then you went on to make some claims, and we're just responding to them. That's all.
Yeah, and
you have the right to believe whatever it is you want to believe.
That is the American
But if you want to talk about it, we're going to express our opinions about the things that you believe, just as you're expressing your opinions about what we believe.
I'm not saying you guys are wrong, and don't think that's why I called. I didn't call to be some, and I know you get some guys on that are pretty stupid, and I hope I'm not one of them. But on a serious note, all it is theories, and everybody, if everybody has their own theories, we can all just acknowledge them, accept them, and go down and just live in society like that.
Can I respond to that?
You sure can, sir.
Okay. I don't think we can have a society that way, where everybody, each individual is just completely free to make up in their own minds whatever it is they are they're going to assume is true. Okay.
Okay.
We live in a world together. Unless you want to spin out into weird postmodern, reality is made up by what you believe kind of nonsense. Unless you go there, we live in a shared universe together, and things are one way or another way, right? There either is a God or there isn't a God. It's one or the other. And
in your own mindset.
Out there, beyond us, forget us for a second, there either is a God or there isn't a God.
See, but you can't control what's out there.
I'm not controlling what's out there. I'm saying, regardless of what I believe and regardless of what you believe, there either is this thing or there isn't one.
But do you know what? If you believe in it or you don't believe in it, is that going to make you a better or a worse person?
Do you think that it makes you a better? Do you think it makes you a worse person to believe in things that are not true? I believe it makes you a worse person to believe in things that are not true, and I don't mean you in the sense of you, because I'm not challenging you right now. I'm saying believing true things is better than believing false things.
And believing false things, if it puts in 80, like my grandmother, she died 2 years ago of cancer.
Yeah.
She believed in Jesus. She went to believe in God. But she's done that her whole life. She died smiling. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with dying smiling? I mean, she died.
We're back to the subject.
And she died smiling. What's wrong with that?
We're back to the subject again, and I'm glad, because I had more I wanted to say about this from our previous call.
I apologize if you got callers that
oh, no, please. I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you brought this up. Here is my opinion of that, okay? If I'm lying on my deathbed and some nitwit comes along trying to get me to believe some pleasant fantasy to make my last few minutes happier, I will be deeply insulted. I think please, let me finish.
Okay,
please let me finish. Ray I got his finger on the button here, okay? Let me finish. I think that if you care anything about human dignity means the bravery to face whatever the truth happens to be, even if that truth is unpleasant. And that's the way I intend to go to my grave, okay, is facing the truth, whatever the truth appears to be, even if it's unpleasant, bravely and with my sense of self-esteem intact. I do not want to give up my ability to think clearly about things just for the sake of my last few minutes on Earth being pleasant.
I agree. Now,
not worth it.
Let me tell you this too, and I'll agree with you. I am not. I hate people who force religion down people's throats. Let me just make that comment. People who want to force people into believing something, you should have the rights, and we do live in America, we have the freedom of whatever the heck we want to do, which is a great place on the earth. But the whole point I'm at is that if you want to force religion down my throat, and to me, that is horrible. That is something the biggest no-no in the world, because everybody has their own theories. Let us think. We can discuss it like this, but don't force it down my throat.
Right.
Don't make me choose God, or don't make me choose Catholic. Don't make me choose Baptist. I mean, let me choose whatever I want. But my whole point is that if you want to think one thing and you want to think the other, why not do it?
All right.
So I'm going to get off.
I think Arlo wanted to get in on this too. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to mention it's an example used a lot that someone's on their deathbed and they're very happy in their little fantasy. But who's to say they wouldn't be happier yet without it? You don't know. You just don't know that alternate path, alternate thinking. If
And
they
I
had
think a
not
lot of that is for the sake of the person that the people that are watching and are wind up still alive. I may if I face my death, bravely, I may do it with a snarl on my face. That may be, okay, death, here you are, come and get me, you stinking bastard. Pardon me for a moment for anthropomorphizing death, but, that's not going to make the people sitting around my bed feel good, but it's going to make me feel good.
I like Timothy Leary, the way he went out, and he actually gave daily reports on the internet all the way to the very end there. And I like that. We're okay. Doing fantastic. We got all these calls lined up here.
And still no call for Tinky Winky.
Yeah, Tinky Winky's still here waiting on a phone.
Nobody wants to challenge Tinky's sexuality.
He's even got his beads on. Or it has his beads on, so they don't know what to say. All right. Yeah. I wonder what he had to show to get those. Yeah. So. All right. Let's go on to Kevin.
God rules, Baldy.
And?
My crew's been asking. Oh, he hung up. I didn't hang up.
He wasn't finished.
We wanted to find out if you're talking in tongues. My crew has asked me to ask you if that is supposed to be talking in tongues.
That's what he is.
Okay, please.
I don't think it would start with hello, Baldy.
Hello, Baldy.
If he was going to be speaking in tongues.
So let's go on to Bill. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. I just got a comment on that guy who called earlier claiming that our laws are based on the Ten Commandments.
Yes, thank you.
And I was wondering if he's actually read the Ten Commandments and thought about it.
That's right.
The first one, thou shalt have no other gods before me, that's unconstitutional.
Exactly.
Thou shalt not make engraven images, that's unconstitutional. There's nothing in the Constitution about taking the Lord's name in vain. I can say, God damn it, and there's nothing in the laws that, our laws that keep us from that. Nothing about honoring mother and father. Thou shalt not kill, that's in there. Nothing about committing adultery is unconstitutional. You can't rape and you can't molest children, but you can commit adultery and not go to jail for it. Which kind of makes you wonder, why is adultery in the Bible and not child molestation and, rape? So I was just wondering if those...
I think they're both in the Bible, aren't they?
Well, they're in the Bible, not the Ten Commandments.
Oh, yeah, okay. The way you said that, but
Right.
the Bible does make reference to them being...
Right.
Yeah.
So...
Well, some of those rules are just to keep you in the faith.
And floor manager Keith pointed out that's just to keep you in line in your faith there on there. Keep you in the faith. Any other points?
That's it.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
You have a great week.
Yep.
All right, let's go on down to Terry.
Hi.
Hi.
I just had a couple of comments, and I'm not very good at verbalizing myself, but just wanted to say that I have been where you guys are, in probably around the age that you are. The guy over on the left with the short hair.
Oh, that would be me.
Yeah. I appreciate all your comments. I feel a great deal of affection for all of you because I feel that you're all sincere.
Thank you.
And
I think I see where you're going. That you're no longer an atheist.
That's correct.
I can hear it in your voice.
And anyway, I just wanted to say that that because I think that you're sincere, and because I think that you are honest with yourself, that you'll come to a point where you'll see things differently at a later age.
May I ask you a question before
Sure.
you go?
Yeah, hang on.
Because I often hear from believers that will say, I used to think like you thought, but I've always wondered if that was true.
Okay.
I mean, did you were you committed to like hardline rationalist thinking? In the sense that you were outraged by astrology and TV psychics and other claims of the supernatural that you felt were taking advantage of people. I mean, I'm trying to get a sense of whether
Right.
you really ever did think like I did, or were you merely somebody who just didn't go to church?
No, I just felt that people used God as an excuse, as a crutch to be happy or whatever.
Yeah. But did you not believe in God? Did you think that this is a completely made-up thing?
No, I just actually I went through a series of. I kind of think like you, exactly like you, in that if you there were kind of formulas, and if you followed them, you didn't need a higher being. You just you function without it,
I have a question.
Okay.
I'm curious what momentous event brought you to your conclusion you have now to where you believe in God. Is it one event that brought you to that point?
Actually, it was a series of events, and you probably wouldn't understand. But the other thing that I'd like to comment about is that you're kind of egocentric, in the way that you're seeing things from your perspective only, and that's real human. I think we're all kind of like that. But if you try to become a Buddhist or a Catholic, or try to become and really understand people or religion from their perspective, you would see that there is something very good in them. Because I've gone through all the religion searching, and
we all three jumped on that one.
Yeah, I'm a little troubled by your use of the word "become."
Yes.
Is it to indicate just seeing somebody else's point of view? I have been religious, so I have seen that point of view.
Because I went through this too. I went through the studying and all this. But when you understand it and become it, to understand it.
So the only way I can understand how you're thinking is to become a Christian.
Okay.
If that's the rule, that's no fair. That's just no fair.
Okay.
It has to make sense to me first,
right.
doesn't it?
And it will. I believe that it will. It will, because I believe you're honest. I believe you're an honest man.
And then the point I was going to make, I think you were trying to say there was good in religion, and I would argue what little bit of good that's been brought up around is so far outweighed by the persecution and the evil and everything else that's been straight back. You can trace straight back to the Bible.
I understand. And the other comment that I wanted to make is that when you say that the Bible contradicts itself,
yes, it does.
It's because you don't understand the basic principles. There are basic rules and basic laws that's throughout the Bible, and if you understood, you would see that they actually go together. That there is actually like the other guy said, there's a crossing over within themselves, but it's hard to explain.
I think if you don't, I think I have a very open mind, and I try to look at from every perspective. But I think that if you read the Bible with an open mind, you would see the contradictions.
Okay, okay.
And you haven't done that.
Have you? Yeah, I have. I've read it with a mind. But have you ever tried to read it with your insight, with the inside of?
Read it with my heart.
Okay, with your heart, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that
I think we try to do most of our thinking here with our brains, man.
That's probably that's why you don't understand the other.
Well, the heart is not an organ for thinking. The heart is an organ for pumping blood around your body.
Actually, it's not the heart. It's your spirit.
And what's that?
Well, I do appreciate your call. Please call again. We're running low on time here, and I got a bunch of other calls.
Yeah, thanks for calling. You were very polite. We appreciate that.
Yeah, and I do appreciate your call. You have a great week. Arlo, you look like you had a point.
Well, I was going to ask a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I was just curious. To say you think like you used to think the way we think. Well, we all think differently from each other, I think, on some things.
True.
And I was going to ask if, because for some of us it's our skeptical thinking that may make us atheists, and for some of us we might be overwhelmed by our knowledge in science, say. And that's the way it's been for me recently, and I was just curious if she had been overwhelmed with this great knowledge of science we've acquired.
I see you straining there wanting to do a question.
But if not, then you don't think like me.
All right. Okay, let's go on down to Alan. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, fellas. I want to start off by first saying I respect each one of you and respect your views, and I think you're each intelligent individuals.
Thank you.
And so I'm going to provide a potential...
And then you're going to stick the butt in here. But...
No, I'm going to try to stick in an intellectual argument.
Okay.
Because I know that we're going to think with our heads here.
All right.
Are y'all familiar with the concept called expected values?
Expected value.
Nope.
It's a management science technique used in business to make business decisions.
All right.
So, and I believe one of you commented earlier that the truth is the truth, and that it's either there is a God or there's not a God.
Sure.
But I believe that there's a choice to be made. So we may be different. Do y'all believe that there's a choice to be made on what you believe or not?
Of course there's a choice to be made on what you believe, but there is not a choice to be made on what is in fact actually the case.
Well, okay, well, if you want to get into absolute truth, we can discuss that after I cover expected values, because we'll talk about regression analysis and statistics.
Well, quickly, we're running out of time here. I'm sorry, you got right at the end of the
7 minutes.
Here's the concept. You take the two possible decisions. Yes, there is a God, or no, there's not a God.
All right.
And you look at the consequences and the profitability of each decision being made.
Profitability.
Well, not profitability, but the benefits.
Are we going to Pascal's wager here? Because we're familiar with that.
Well, it's not. Well, maybe a different term. But anyway,
okay.
You take the benefits multiplied times the probability, and the consequences multiplied by that probability.
Yeah.
And then it gives you a number.
And we do this for all possible gods, right? Not just for the Christian God.
That's right. For God and period. I mean.
No. For we do it for Jehovah. We do it for Zeus.
Allah,
we do it for.
Allah. We
okay.
can do it for.
All right. Just checking.
We can do it for whoever you want to do it for.
Okay.
Quickly.
So if there's a 1% probability that there is a God, and the benefits are eternal life.
Pascal's wager. Okay.
And the 99% probability that there is not a God, and the consequences are separation from that.
And figure in the possibility that there is a God who is not the Christian God, who gets pissed off if you believe in the Christian God, and in his case, you burn in hell forever if you believe in the Christian God.
Okay,
See, as soon as you start looking at all the possibilities with this formula, what you will find is it's just a muddled mess and tells you nothing.
Well, not if the 1% probability, despite how many options you have, is eternal life.
You have to balance that 1% possibility that the Christian God exists and will reward you forever or punish you forever, versus the 1% possibility that Apollo is the real God who will. And it is not a way of making a decision. Sorry.
And we really have to go. Please call again. That was a good question, but you're incorrect in your assumptions. You're assuming there is such a thing as eternal life.
Yeah.
And,
Pascal's wager is all full of holes, and that's.
Okay. We're trying to get all the callers we can as quickly here. Let's go to Ray.
Hello.
Good morning.
This is Rachael.
Rachel.
Okay.
Rachel.
You guys believe in astrology?
No.
Oh, no.
Heck no.
Astronomy. Astronomy.
Astronomy?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not a belief, though.
I believe in a lot of stuff like that.
You believe in astrology? Do you believe in astrology?
Yes.
Okay.
I was raised on all that stuff.
And you make daily life decisions based on your astronomical chart?
Sometimes.
Okay.
And then.
Anyways.
Okay, I was just curious. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You had a question?
Well, I kind of have a comment.
Sure.
One of my really close friends is really, really Christian, and that's what I like about it. We can talk about, what we agree and disagree on. And she's always telling me, well, I believe in the Bible because this is what God said, and I do these things because God does it, and that's why I think you should too. And I always tell her, well, that's a given that if you believe in God, or do you believe in that God?
Right.
And she's always using the well, you should do it because, God says it, and and it's written because God did it. I'm like, well, until you prove that to me, then I can't believe that.
Yeah.
And that's why,
I think what you'll find, if you were to go ahead and do what your friend says and decide to believe in the Bible and view it from the point of view that, yes, it works, you would find that the Bible would work for you roughly the same way astrology does. You would have the ability to read meaning into random nonsense, and it would start to seem like reality to you.
Yeah, and something else, I forgot what it was.
Well, I was going to invite you down to the Hot Jumbo Bakery. We meet there every Sunday when we leave here. They were waving at me. I was looking at the wrong camera or something. It sounds like you have some questions and you're looking at things right now. So if you, we have some very intelligent, wonderful people in our group, and I think you'd like meeting them.
I would love to have a chat about astronomy with astrologer.
With an
astrologer and astronomy really need to be separated.
Yes. But I am running out of time, and I do appreciate your call, Rachel.
Okay.
You have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. Please call again. Okay, let's quickly go to James. James?
Hello?
Good morning.
Yeah.
Quickly.
How's it going? Yes, I just wanted to comment. There's a lot of lost people out there, as you know. It's good you guys are on the television telling people that these people go to church and are religious, But there's a certain point people hit that you kind of go, it's a learning process, and to me, intelligent people see that. They see these people that are religious and do these daily activities and push religion and stuff like that. And, I just don't want you guys to be lost. It's kind of a parallel. You guys, you're atheists, and it's like it's a growth. You're going to grow. You're going to want to experiment and do different things. You're going to get bored. You're going to study, and it's going to different areas, whether it's occult or whatever else. But there's a universal truth, and that truth will get there soon.
That's you. Okay, I got to go. I'm running out of time. I want to get my last
comment on it.
I think there are universal truths out there, but if that truth is there a God? No, I don't think there is a God. But there is certain universal truths out there, and that's my opinion.
Yeah, and think how resentful you would be if we sat here and said, well, we think you're an intelligent, honest person, and therefore you will eventually become an atheist. We have no business telling you what you will eventually believe, and you have no business telling us what we will eventually believe. Okay?
And I didn't.
Everybody has the right to believe what it is they actually believe. And in our case, we're atheists.
I didn't catch you out there. Please call again. Let's go to Shannon. Shannon?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're our last caller. Quickly.
Hi. I just wanted to comment about spirit. Someone had spoken about it earlier.
Yes.
And I'm not a religious person. I don't believe that any of the current religions have preserved themselves or represent themselves in any way that's anywhere near maybe what's going on, which, of course, none of us knows. But my thought on that is that it's a little bit more like it's a physical thing, just like our bodies are physical. It's. Have you done any work in the metaphysical world or the world of well, take for instance the spirit in which you do something. Okay, it's another manifestation of how you act and react on this planet.
Yeah, we have no problem with the. Can I cut you off and just respond?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So we can get a response in before the end.
We gotta go.
We agree that we have minds, that we have.